moving on. What data do you think we should, we should be tracking? What I need you to do is you can go on to the link here, menti.com, and the code is 369888. If you can log on for me, and it will come up with the question. So, what data should we be tracking? And that could be anything. So what data, statistics do you think we should be tracking as club numbers? Excellent one. Let's get these flying in. Is that the only one? Active and lapsed schools, planning and assessment. Yeah, good. What else? Accidents, yeah, good. Think about your roles, think about what you get up to, think about people you work with, come into contact with. What do you track in terms of the data? Achievement. When we talk about club numbers, can we break that down a little bit more? We got any operation kind of leads or operation managers or those in kind of in a key operational role on the call? If so, do you have to track any attendance, any sickness, reoccurring sickness? Good, yeah. Attendance, assessment, and sickness, good. I remember when I used to work within a local franchise business, there was always the Friday and Monday club staff. You always knew who would have a Monday off. What else? Data attendance, yeah, excellent.
You'll only let me put one answer in, David. I was going to put another one saying income and outgoings.
Okay, but why is it only letting you put one answer in? Let's have a look. Why is that the case? Doesn't say. That's fine. Okay, well, that's fine. Only one winner. We can come and talk about it. So, Michael, do you want to turn your mic off or turn your mic on, sorry? And what are you going to say?
So, I put active and lapsed schools. I was also going to put in our incomings weekly and outgoings weekly.
Yeah, good. Okay, so let's talk about the active and lapsed schools. How do we currently look to track that then?
So we have our line documents that we track. I have all our ingoings and outgoings about those schools, who's active, how much they bring in each week, and what projected, if there's any upsell opportunities, and any lapsed schools, any reasons why they've lapsed. Is it just short term or is it permanent? And the reasons for that, is it maybe down to the coach? Is it down to finances? So we can keep an idea of which schools we can always revisit.
Yeah, good. Does anyone else do that? Anyone?
Is it just me and you, Dave?
I think it might be, mate. I think it might just be us two.
Hello, were you just talking about recording data?
Yes.
Yeah, I do that as well. I just make sure, obviously, you take your register with you to each after school club. And then, I just make sure, like, as soon as I go back into the office, or if I can go online after I finish when I get home, I just, obviously, you tick the boxes, don't you, of who was there. And it helps, obviously, as well, because then we know the payment system, because sometimes we might have a child's start, like their contact names, stuff like that, from a previous time when they came. But what we get a lot of the time is kids just turn up. But obviously, because we might have an old register and because they're on the online system, we have got their number. So that helps. But what is, we have to write their name down. And obviously, and then what is, we have to, if we tick what days they're coming, then we know how much to charge if they haven't paid. Because sometimes you might get a child and he comes 4 times because they can only make that specific. They can't do every single week, so it makes it easier.
Yeah, no, spot on. So yeah, 100%. So it literally is breaking. We've talked about active and lapsed schools where we've got maybe a bigger statistic in terms of the finance, but then linking that right down to actually the attendance of those who have turned up and arrived for each individual session. Obviously, I think a lot of people will charge different kind of a rate throughout their parent paid clubs. But let's say, for example, ballpark figure is £4 a session. If someone turns up and comes to a full, 10-week block, that's £40. That, let's say you've got, 10 clubs that AP is delivering at, and they're missing one child from every club that they're not recognising haven't paid or are turning up without payment confirmed. £40 then turns to 400. You multiply that across 10 APs, the results could be colossal. So I think it's a really, really basic one, but actually it's a really important one because we need to keep that incoming still kind of going. Excellent. Right, club numbers. So who actually put that as a reference? Club numbers.
It was me.
Excellent. What made you put club numbers? What made that spring out to your mind?
Because you often need to sort of like track how many people are attending the clubs, how popular the club is, like which location it's most popular in, and sort of which works best for the school.
Yeah, good. So can you give me some examples of maybe why you need to track, let's say, the amount attending? Is there been any reasons why we might have to cancel, or have you ever had a waiting list, or things like that?
Yeah, so a lot of the clubs that we have do have a waiting list, especially the gymnastics ones. And I think it's important to see to make it fair for other children that are on the waiting list, and also to give others a chance to be given the opportunity to have their go, and then depends if they turn up or not.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's great. Thanks for sharing that one. So I think linking back to, again, for those who aren't aware, I used to work with a pretty large franchise, and club numbers are something we used to really be heavily tracking on. So let's say we had, I don't know, ballpark, let's say a football club. Okay, a football club could be any year groups, but if we, I don't know, after whatever reason, the first week we only had, I don't know, 7 children booked onto it. There was various promotions and kind of strategies that we'd take on play. If we got to the end of those, at times we'd go, right, you know what, we're just going to pull it, because whilst we had 7 children there, we might change it to let's say a gymnastics club, or it could change to a different year group where the numbers would then increase. I think one thing certainly for schools to look at is a numbers game. They want to see bums on seats, so to speak, and they want to make sure that the clubs are busy and the children are having a great time. So excellent. What about planning and assessment? Who put that one?
That was me.
Who's me?
It's Tom.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. So, what do you mean by planning and assessment?
So what I do on a weekly basis is just go through our BMS, check in for make sure planning is up to date, as well as we use Dropbox for our extracurricular planning to make sure that's all up to date, all on time. We set certain deadlines throughout the half term to make sure that's complete. Just making sure it's complete individually to our APs, making sure they're meeting their KPIs, and then I feed back to our team leaders, so then they can kind of act on any issues or any gaps we have within the BMS.
Yeah, brilliant. So you need back to KPIs there. Can you share some of those KPIs that you feed back on, or?
So it's basically club numbers is on there, our planning and assessment done on time and to the right quality, risk assessments, certain things like that, attendance to meetings and things like that.
Excellent, yeah, brilliant. And do we have what kind of target do you aim for? Is there like a range, or are you looking for 100% all time, or?
So with our planning, 100% completed. So extracurricular, we make sure that's they're done within the first week, 2 weeks of the half term. And then the curriculum side of things, at least all the plans on after 3 weeks, but then keeping up to date on a weekly basis. Obviously, plans can change on a week-to-week basis depending on how each lesson goes.
Yeah, good. And the staff respond well to that?
Yeah, seems to be working really well, yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent stuff. Really appreciate that. Cheers, Tom. Okay, accidents. Who put accidents on here? Anyone put accidents? No? Okay, I'm guessing by accident we're looking at how we track maybe the amounts, and if so, what. So, for example, if there's plenty of head injuries with the same AP, I'm guessing we need to look at some training. Is there a reason why that AP has a recurring accident for the same incident? Likewise, if a certain AP is getting lots of incidents completed, again, is there some additional training to support their setup or their organisational structure to prevent that happening? I'm guessing. So that's cool. Pupil achievement. What do you mean by pupil achievement? Who's put that one on there? Anybody?
You're all done a runner.
Yeah, very quiet today.
Hi.
Anyone left in the chat?
I've got mine on mute there. I've come in to you go through these questions, but happy to pitch in. It's Alistair here from Plymouth, pal.
Hi, Alistair. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, buddy. Very well.
How are you, bud?
Yeah, all right.
Yes, mate.
So, yeah, Alistair, we're just going through some questions on and what kind of data do we look to collect, and these are the ones that have been thrown up by people in the chat. So we're looking at pupil achievement. I'm not sure if it's one you've put or whether you want to touch on it, but kind of how or why are we looking to track pupil achievement? Probably a good one for you to answer, Alistair, with your background.
Just say that last bit again. I put headphones in. I do apologise.
It's fine, mate. I said, so yeah, just looking at why we track or what kind of data we're looking to collect.
Yeah.
And we've gone through some of the answers, and the next one is pupil achievement. Why we look to collect data on pupil achievement. And I said, obviously, based on your background, probably a good one for you to answer.
Yeah, so pupil achievement for us is really critical. Our job hired by schools is to get them from coming out at level 1 and in the fastest method possible, getting them out at higher level. That's why schools hire us, right? Because we're better than their classroom teachers to deliver physical education activities. So for us to collect information around pupil achievement is critical and necessary for us to show that we've done a good job. And the fact that we collect data around pupil achievement, not just on the competency aspect of children's development and their children's competence, highlights the significance of PE across the whole curriculum. And if any of you have done assessments with children and shared those with teachers and sat down with them, it's really interesting to see those who lack discipline in terms of pupils' achievement and those how relatable they are to different subjects and how the conversations are normally quite jovial when you share those with teachers.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks, Alistair. So I think lots of important points in that. And I think what's really critical and key is to make sure across the network or within our teams, I would say at the moment, pupil achievement is one area that we do not showcase enough. And what I mean by that is, yes, we've got some great APs that go into schools, deliver fantastic, engaging, fun, creative learning lessons. They've got a great relationship in the school, but for one reason or another, we don't take the time to sit down, reflect, and have a conversation or dialogue with either the class teacher or another senior figure in school to showcase the results of what we, as a collective deliverers, have achieved. Now, there's barriers to all that, and we can't go into that today. But I think one thing is vital moving forward. Certainly, those who have an operational role on the call, or even APs on the call, can we make a difference with that moving forward? And can we put a plan in place to start showcasing when we're delivering our sessions, we've got children from A to B to C to D as a final goal, and actually record that as some kind of data. So, yeah, as Alison kind of alluded to, the cared model is a great way of doing that from start to finish. If we work with year groups across the board, so let's say, for example, in year 1, it might be the first time we work with that class, and then you have them again in year 2, and the leap or the improvement could be colossal. However, we might see that in a shorter 6-week block as well. So I would say pupil achievement is one we should focus on massively, but obviously equally as important as club numbers and lap scores as well. Cool. Next one, attendance, assessment, and sickness. Who put that on there? And how do you do it?
Oh, yeah, that was me.
Hi,
It's Andrew here.
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, so this one, obviously attendance and assessments we kind of spoke about, but the sickness one in our business was kind of a bit of a concern. We never used to track it. So something we just put in now, so against every AP, on a separate sheet, we'll just kind of track people being off sick. And obviously if it gets too high or if there's a bit of a concern, we can just kind of have a chat with APs.
Yeah, great
issues
stuff.
going
great
on.
Yeah, brilliant.
It has led to action being taken actually against one AP who's just kind of taking the mick a little bit. He was off all the time, so eventually we kind of parted ways because it was just not working out for him or for us.
Yeah. Okay, and that can go the other way as well. There can be APs who have 100% attendance, which is a massive benefit, and it's something to kind of see a shout about. I know personally, when I used to work within a franchise, right up until kind of my last working day, I'd only had 5 days off in 7.5 years, and those 5 days were dad related because of childcare. So I was never too sick to come into work. However, I do believe that people sometimes are ill. I'm not saying they're not, but Andrew, did you ever identify maybe a Monday club or a Friday club? The same person always on a Friday or Monday off?
Not so much. No, not really. It's kind of just a number of times has been more of a concern. So in like a month, they might have had so many times off, and then there'd be like a week, like a month where they won't, and then all of a sudden they go up again. But yeah, no, we've not really found a particular day or anything.
Thanks, Andrew.
No worries. Yeah, we used to find Monday club is a big one. People have whatever reason, might have a big night on Saturday, Sunday be struggling and think, Monday I don't fancy it. And I'll tell you one thing we used to find as well. I don't know if anyone else finds this, Michael or Alistair or Andrew. If others can see the planner for others and they know what days you've got cover on. So there's always certain days in a week. We used to have a Wednesday and a Thursday where we'd be, bare bones. If more than sort of 2 people are off, we'd be struggling. Whereas other days, we'd have sort of 4 or 5 people who could step in and cover if needed, diary allowing. So we'd always find that those days, people were always sick. Interesting, isn't it? Cool. Okay. I think kind of record data attendance. I'm guessing that's for APs, or is that for pupils?
That's what I put.
Yeah,
Bradley here. That's what I put. I spoke to you already about it, about obviously recording data and just making sure who comes. So obviously going onto the BMS system and just ticking each name after after school club.
Yeah, perfect stuff. Yeah, great stuff. Brilliant. And like I said, vital, because that £40 for one child who's attending, maybe a parent paid club for 10 weeks. If you've got the same AP who's not necessarily consistent with their registering, and that one AP then turns into one club into 10 clubs, it's a big jump. Excellent. Okay, so back to the slides. Like I said, there's not a lot of slides on this show. It is more interactive, which is really good. Apologies, I've got my young lad in the background. Okay, so we've touched on this a little bit, but what AP data do we collect or collate? So we've touched on attendance, we've touched on their planning, we've touched on their assessment scores, some observations. Is there anything else?
We track a gap analysis of people's sort of qualifications.
Yeah, good.
So we.
Do you want to touch on that a bit more, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know where the rest of my team are today, but Luke and Connor generally, they have a gap analysis that we can have a look at across. So when I'm going into schools, considering what we're trying to sell to people, is which AP is available to do that. So we don't want to be sending anyone in who's not trained in anything. So what we'd have a look at is down the list, and then I can be really open with schools and let them know if I've got anyone available. So if they're really pushing for something, we would then normally talk to you guys, or try and get an activator sorted in house to get someone tracked for something. So we track that quite often.
Mark, it's a really good one. It's something that probably in the last sort of 6 months to a year, in my previous one, I really worked heavily on. One thing, and I'll open this up, guys, do schools hate the most? What do they really dislike from us?
It's inconsistency of the staff coach.
Excellent. Yeah, inconsistency or a change of staffing. So let's say an AP goes into school in September, autumn 1, delivers fantastic after-school programs or curricular sessions, and they're brilliant. Okay, the AP, as we always challenge them, works hard to build relationships, works hard to kind of build bonds with the children, with the parents. And they might be, let's say, delivering an after-school football session, okay? And then after October half term, autumn 2, the school turn around and say, actually, we now want gymnastics. We're getting into the colder weather. We want to get him indoors. That AP can't deliver gymnastics because he's not qualified or competent. What happens? Typically, that AP gets pulled out of school, doesn't it? To make sure we fulfill the contract, we fulfill the work, and we then challenge another AP with going in, making the relationships, building the bonds, and sometimes it can work as a positive because it's a fresh face, a new way of doing things, and the children, the school, parents can really buy into it. On the flip side of that, what else can happen?
Yeah, the relationship breaks down because the kids have got used to having a member of staff they really like, and then they've got to start all over again. Parents,
very good on social media. Oh, we love Mr. So-and-so, or Mrs. So-and-so is really good with my child. Hope she's coming back. And then what happens to that AP currently delivering in school? They may feel deflated, may feel they're not valued, and likewise it could be a domino effect, and then their quality dips, or they can go the other way. They're going to go, do you know what? I'm going to make it so you think I am better. I'm going to work hard. But ultimately, we want to keep the same AP if the school are happy in that school for the whole year. Having a gap analysis and understanding what your AP can deliver is vital when you're going and saying, right, let's look at our clubs for the next foreseeable future. What are we thinking? Now, if a school turn around and say, we want gymnastics, and you know you've got an AP, you can't deliver that, that then gives you a time frame to go, right, you want that? That's fine. We know that. You then rubber stamp it and go, right, we are going to get that AP competent, qualified in gymnastics, for example. So that gap analysis is a really important one. Excellent. What else? Anything else? Alistair, what else anything you track or collect?
I can give you another one if you want, Dave.
Yeah, Michael, I think it's me on the call, Michael, now.
We track obviously our assessment scores as well and see what the progression is. So as you know, when you came with me not that long back, when I did the moderation and stuff, so that particular coach that we observed, we also used that as part of his development to see what his curricular scores were over the term or even the rest of the term previously. And we do that with all our staff so we can track their sort of progression and track the action points that they've been given. So if, like you said there, that something might get raised earlier with the accidents, like an occurring thing, is there anything occurring in their delivery that we keep seeing? So we might have given them a development point in term 1. Are we still seeing that same development point in term 3?
Yeah, no, good stuff. Okay, so with that as well, then linking into that, do we collect trends in terms of their feedback? So let's say within our 3 key objectives that we're referring back to and giving them some pointers on, do we go, okay, well, over a period of 3-4 observations, whether it's curricular or extracurricular, differentiation is always cropping up. Do we track that, or do we just give them another point every time?
We track that.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Not everyone does, do they?
No, we track that and put it into a training plan for our staff, for our in-house training.
Brilliant. Yeah, excellent. And that leads into the next things that are monitored and how and why. So I think, club numbers. Anyone kind of want to share anything on their club numbers? So, for example, we know we collect them. We know ultimately why, because if the numbers are low, we can potentially pull the club, change the club, whatever it needs to be. But what else can we focus on in terms of the AP with club numbers?
We find that club numbers are poor. Even if you change the topics, it might be due to their relationship with staff and children, might be due to their lesson quality, their session quality, those finer soft skills. So club numbers have a range of reasons, not just the topic for me. And we do soft skills kind of training as well.
Yeah.
How to talk, to the difference in talking to a head teacher, to a class teacher, to a receptionist, to a child. Because some APs don't know that, because for some APs, this is their first ever job.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that's...
Do any of you find that APs at times struggle to talk to parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we found that massively, and we had a really good case study once with a young lad who was a brilliant deliverer. Children really buzzed off him. He had a great relationship with every school he went into, but parents were just constantly complaining about him because they didn't know how to react to. So he didn't know how to respond and react to their questioning. He wasn't welcoming. And he then got to the point he was hiding, so to speak, at the end of every session when it came to dismissing the children because he didn't want to open himself up. And over time, we were tracking not necessarily his performance, but just kind of how we can train and make him better. And it got to the point where we put him on a kind of a school-funded contract only. So he delivered school-funded agreements. So lunch clubs, after-school clubs that were funded by schools, and ultimately schools, certainly in our area at the time, they handled the sign-up process. So he had a great session, great numbers, great relationship with the schools, and we took that barrier away from them. Likewise, we still wanted to develop and train him, so we used to put him once a week. He'd go and shadow and support one of our oversubscribed clubs that was on more than 20. So he could be the additional AP, making up the kind of the ratio, so to speak, but also then shadowing and seeing that kind of sign-up procedure wasn't the main focus in terms of if there's a question from parents, they wouldn't go to him straight away. But if there's a queue, he could think, can I help at all? And it built his confidence up to then be able to go back to parent funded again. So when we talk about data and how we collect it and how and why, it's not always, let's collect it because we want to plan exit routes or we want to get people in trouble or anything like that at all. It's actually, let's think, how can we make, one, our lives easier, two, our APs more professional, more streamlined, be effective, and three, to grow our business. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. One other thing around APs, does anyone track their kind of time within a company?
Say that again. Do we track their time in the company?
Yeah. So from their first day up until when they leave, do you track kind of their career path with yourselves?
Yes.
And typically, have you got an average of roughly how long their cycle is? All of them?
Yeah, ours is between 2.5.
Yeah, you haven't got to share it. Don't worry. You have to share it if you don't want to. It's fine.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3 years is our average.
Yeah, perfect. Michael, what about yourself? Do you track that?
We do more so. Luke could probably give you a bit more if he was on, but we have like our AP churn, and we have that as a percent monthly, and then sort of as an average time frame,
Yeah, good. One thing we used to do with that, and we found it vital for this, is because we knew that if the AP churn kind of cut off was going to be during July, September time, we knew that potentially sending that AP into a new school September, there was a chance that what might happen. They might start the school, build a relationship, and then be off. So we always have to monitor that and make sure we put a contingency plan in place. So that might be, they may have an apprentice working with them or, a shadow staff learning from them. So if anything was to happen, they already had a familiar face in school with somebody else. And we found that really good. But also, from from a churn perspective, we knew when people they're kind of ready for that next challenge. So do we promote them up to team leaders or project managers and have them, a certain kind of product for them to oversee? Excellent, cool. Okay.
In our business, sorry to jump in, we use a career pathway document, so that and it has loads of different things that an AP needs to do in order to reach the next level. So they can constantly look at this document and see what they need to do in order to progress, which seems to kind of help keep staff motivated as well.
Yes, great. Things like that are great tool. Have you had anyone who's gone the whole way through it?
Not the whole way, no. But we've had people move up, so they get obviously they get a higher pay and stuff like that. But it comes down to like observation scores. So they've got to score a certain point in observations. They've got to have like get some business in and stuff like that in order for them to move up.
No, that's great. I think it's brilliant. The reason I asked that is that I was aware of one before another business that used to use a similar process, and they found they had a lot of people. Let's say it was in stages of 1 to 5, 5 being you've reached the pinnacle of your career. They'd have a lot that get kind of 2/3 and then tail off because they'd put stage 4 is an overachiever. It was unrealistic for them to get there. They couldn't get there within a time frame that they wanted. So they reviewed that and then changed it slightly as well. That's why I asked that. But that's good. I think tools like that, visuals to start are brilliant. Because again, looking at one, I think we can collate 1-to-1 reviews, kind of progress. They always want to come and ask for more hours, more money. Rightly so, if they're working at that level. And how do we incentivize them? Okay, well, how can we get to that next level? Collectively, you've got to get there. We want to support you to get there. Excellent. Okay. Right. How do you showcase the stats and data you collect? So let's take schools. How do you showcase that data to your schools?
Half-termly impact reports for us down in the southwest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So is that what does that cover? Everything or?
That covers average club numbers, percentage of children meeting care descriptor age-related expectations. It determines not just the club number but the attendance percentages. We then highlight some work around the intent. So for each school, there's a different reason why they have us in. So we now put a more of a cumulative comment rather than something that we could just show X, Y, Z, black and white numbers. It's more of an open-ended comment about how we felt that the cohorts that we've worked with have progressed regarding the intent that we have, the reason why we're there. We do that each half term.
Brilliant. How's that received within the school, Alison?
Since January, since we've moved to the new document, it's worked well, and schools got used to the old impact report, and they just took it as, yeah, thank you very much, and then that was it. But the new one, because we used the new language that Ofsted are looking for, has been much better.
Excellent. That's key. And literally, the point I was going to add, you kind of just touched on. Anything that we can provide schools that make their lives easier when they have Ofsted visits coming in, they are just going to snap their fingers off for it because they don't understand the language or the criteria at the moment because it's quite new to a lot of schools, with it being a new framework. Anything we can support with that, with the right language technology, they're just going to go, yeah, do you know what? This is brilliant. Let's have it. What about anything else? Anyone different? Whether it's schools or even now to APs?
We share the curricular data with the schools as well on that impact. I don't know if Alistair does. I'm probably assuming he does. But we share the curricular data as well. And again, the actions that we're trying to get for the pupils, where we want them to go from there.
Brilliant. Yeah, great stuff. And again, how's that received?
Yeah, really well. Again, we've started just using that new one. I don't know if it's the same one Andy Hill put together that Alistair's using. Sent me that recently after the MTA. So that's been a lot better. Like you said before, we had the old INRAP reports where it just literally broke down sort of the sport that they were delivering, the age group, a percentage of boys and girls. It was a bit generic all the time.
Yeah.
But now this one's a lot more sort of interactive, more spruced up, and like I said, it uses the right language. Been a lot more useful for the schools. Some of the schools are saying, well, I can use that data really well, even for something simple as my gains mark. Things like that.
Brilliant. Excellent. And look, for me, certainly for the sounds of things, Mike really said that, Alice sending information over, following it after the NTE. That collaborative approach is key. We're always learning. We're always turning that wheel of knowledge. What works in one area may not work in another. It's all like sharing. This has helped us adapt it, utilize it, use it yourselves. Something I certainly used to try and work on a lot within the franchise, which is brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Okay, guys, it's conscious time, which to be fair, we're sort of 3 or 4 minutes to go, and they bring us to our last slide, which I've always used this slide as kind of knowledge for me, but I'm sure you may have seen it before, but it's this one here. Without data, you are just another person with an opinion, and kind of take from that as much as you need or as much as you want. But going into a school that are advising they need to work with Premier, they need to use us for lunch activities because we can offer lunch activities, doesn't get that over the line. But we can work with up to X amount of children. We can get them to this level. We can engage with these amount of sports. We can track girls, boys, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2. We can track everything and give you a report to go, look, this is a great kind of a additional benefit that you are offering your children within the school, getting specialists in. That data kind of helps with that.